Right then. Well, we've had two bad takes on the situation there, and this one I think takes the cake. I've left this till last. Mark Henry, the TMZ headline. He actually gave an interview to TMZ, and the headline is WWE legend Mark Henry, wrestler Syko Stu deserves some blame for Roger Jackson incident. Now, this is just a list of quotes. Really, did you actually watch the entire video?
I watched most of it. Like I said, it just hurts my head sometimes, the mental gymnastics that everybody's doing to try to put this in a different light. It's pretty basic for basic thinkers like us.
So, right, and he says this quite early on. It's like, I don't know all the situation. You know, I've not watched the whole thing. But you're sure gonna pick up the phone and then give your opinion like you're an authority on the situation. And quite frankly, keep this in mind as well from Mark Henry. It just constantly comes across like he's projecting his own horrible experiences from when he first got to WWF in '96, right? This just seems like complete projection on his part. So it's just coming from it's just coming from an entirely wrong place. Like when I came into wrestling in '95, '96, I had a lot of the same issues. I didn't like the ribbing, I didn't like the joking. I don't know the full story, but I do not know the full story. But I do know what I saw, and it looked like he wasn't smart to what was going on, he being Roger Jackson. And the dude that was messing with him bit off more than he can chew. How hard is it coming in, as an outsider, so to say, that doesn't have experience to come in there and expect to properly know what's going on then? So once again, it's putting on him. He's got inexperience. The hazing days, the carny bullshit days, are over with every one of these journeyman guys that get drunk before the show and sit around and talk crap to all the younger kids and tell them how the old days were. That's so over with. Because the guys that's coming in are former MMA guys or college students like my son, people that's in entertainment and have other walks of life, and you can't act like carny bullshit to these guys and girls. How bad a look is this for the sport? Just everybody's seeing this. And I believe the school is WWE ID program. It's a bad look. It's not that. It's not the ID program. First of all, the ID program is so well polished and so well tempered that you would never have that problem in their system. That was in the system. What's he talking about?
You just had the problem. That's why you're getting interviewed.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's such a polished system. But hang on, you're complaining about an affiliated school of the WWE ID system, and it's running a show like that, which, as you discussed earlier, Stevie, is unprofessional considering it's affiliated with WWE.
It looked like carny BS. There's part of it I do agree. Like that particular word, when I saw them outside in the parking lot, maybe partying a little bit, I can't. If someone hit someone with an empty beer can, the beer can was full previous to that, correct? So the culture there is very much carny, and as I say, indie, not WWE ID, indie BS as well.
Secondly, it's not a bad look for pro wrestling. It's a bad look for the company that he performed at, that are allowing him to, anyway. It's a bad look for him. It's a bad look for him being Stu. It's a worse look for the guy that got beat up, because now we know you can't fight. And back in the old days, if you lost the fight, you lost your job. So those maybe those days are over too.
But I thought those days should be over too, right? Okay.
Yeah, those days that you really, really hated, where people get fired for losing a fight. Apparently, he's lamenting. He's picking and choosing.
It's very weird. It's very, very weird.
So
most people get into pro wrestling because they can't fight. I'm being one of them. If I could fight, I told you, if I could fight, I'd be in MMA just fighting once every 6 months and making more money.
But it's the thing, though, is that people get into wrestling for a multitude of reasons. A lot of MMA stars got into wrestling because wrestling paid better. A lot of people get into wrestling because they like it more than mixed martial arts. Why
did MMA and football? They found out how tough it was when they got into it, because it's not easy. It's a grind. But MMA, other sports like football and other things, get into pro wrestling. Why? They think it's easier.
I was going to say 2 reasons.
They're not going to get hurt. They're not going to get hit for real.
1, they were cut in NFL. 2, they were injured in NFL and can't continue. So therefore,
no. But I'm not talking about it's not their first choice. But I'm saying is, if I got hurt playing football. Football was too rough. I'm tired of getting punched in the face all the time. So let me go to pro wrestling where nobody will touch me, nobody will hit me. I can make pretend, I can cut promos, and I can make a lot of money. Do you see what I mean? Do you see that? Okay, you welcome somebody in there that wasn't trained, he punched it. He can't fight, but we're not getting into pro wrestling to be fighters. That's not what we're doing. And people that are fighters that get into pro wrestling are not getting into pro wrestling to do shoot fights. They're getting into pro wrestling to make pretend. This is weird.
Yeah, so, maybe those days were over too, but in the modern sense, just to correct you.
Oh, by the way, let me stop you right there. I'm sorry. Mark is talking about that the promoters like Bill Watts, Vince, anybody would say, if you go out to a bar, if you go to a public place and you get into a fight, you better win because it's going to look bad for kayfabe. He's not talking about a real fight in the ring or in the back. He's talking about fighting marks in a bar or a restaurant. So if you go out, be careful. If you go out, better not eat where the baby faces are if you're a heel. That's mostly, it's out of context. It's if you fight a fan outside, you better win, because if a fan can beat you up, people aren't going to believe in you. That it's totally different.
It says, just to correct you, I guess the interviewer, that doesn't supposed to happen, and it shouldn't ever happen on both sides have enough respect for the business. 3 more quotes. Hey, this dude is acting up. I'm going to give him a pass today, but you need to get him in order. This is talking about the initial confrontation, with the can bonking on the head. Because if I wanted to take his head off, I could. And then the older guys that sit around drinking at the building before the game, before the show, get rid of every one of those guys that's like that. The journeyman drug addicts, alcoholics want to be tough guys. Get rid of them. They don't fit the mold for the business anymore. I would never hire him at all. If a guy showed up to my show drunk or was sitting outside in the parking lot drinking before the show, he would never work for me. Stu is more to blame for this, even happening once they got in the ring. If indeed what I saw was what I saw, which is people before the show during the daytime, drinking and intoxicated or partially intoxicated regardless, and you bust a bottle over a guy's head, and talk trash like the guy was not going to do nothing. If Stu had put his hands on me, it would have happened in the parking lot right there. He's putting an awful lot of blame. One, presuming... Okay, right. One, yes, you can argue very much so it's unprofessional to be drinking before wrestling. That's fine. That's true. One, you're presuming he's drunk. 2, you're sort of missing the point, the nuance entirely, that he did this because he thought this Roger Jackson was a worker and he was saying hello. It wasn't from a place of malice. It might have been from a place of silliness. You know what I mean? But, he's putting it down that, he's a screw-up and he's an alcoholic and he doesn't deserve to be in the wrestling business. He's making an awful lot of leaps there on the character of Stu, I think.
But at the same time, ignoring that, guess who else shouldn't belong anywhere near a wrestling promotion, a building, a ring, or anywhere near the business? Someone with the temperament and immaturity of Raja Jackson. I would definitely say that that's a lot scarier than a dude that drinks in the parking lot. And like you said, you don't even know if the guy's drunk or not. But if I was working at Guy Stu, I'd be like, please don't drink before our match. And then he would say, oh, I'm smartened up or whatever. The Raja kid doing what he did, and everybody, I should say, because Black Pearl, the AJ guy, and there was guys in the background, look what they were part of the cookout, right? Mm-hmm. So it looked like it's a culture thing. And I've said it, and I'll say it again. That needs to stop. There needs to be a wall, a barrier between the access to the wrestlers like that and what goes on. And also, there definitely, if it's a WWE ID thing and people are drinking before the show and not taking it seriously, and I've saw some of the physiques, there's a lot of people in that roster not taking it seriously. That's what I mean. If you're talking about well-polished and it's vetted, Knox Pro would never be, outside of the political affiliation with Rikishi, would have never been picked. Am I wrong?
That would be my guess.
No, so we both have an educated guess about this. So it's just, Mark, once you say, I did not watch it, I don't know the whole story, you shouldn't say anything. I don't know why he even took the interview, because it is a really bad look. If he watched the whole thing from that beginning point, which he's right. Hey, if Stu hit Mark Henry in the head with the thing, even if he took liberties with me and I'm not a tough guy, something would happen right there and then. Whether it's an argument, it gets heated, we end up tangling with each other, and then it's over. Or I'm never working that guy again because we're just not going to get along. But we were clued in that it was squashed. There was closure. The handshake. Now the facial Raja told a different story, but this was not a thing where the whole day Stu was sweating, going, well, I'm going to do the thing with Raja tonight. What's he going to do? They shook hands. It was explained it was work, and that was it. Was it stupid to do the thing with the beer can? Of course. But it should have been squashed right there, one way or the other.
Once again, to reiterate, bonking someone lightly with an empty beer can is not a capital offence. The one thing I got out of Mark Henry is, one, he's projecting his own insecurities and his miseries and his locker room experiences 30 years earlier, which has no bearing on this whatsoever. He just, two, which is the most important thing, he said, I haven't seen everything, I don't know all the facts, but you're more than happy to get your name out there and basically embarrass yourself with this horrible take. And three, he had to make sure to put over WWE.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part there. I think that's across the board. Chael Sonnen's a fan. Maybe he hopes to go to WWE someday. Rob's the strange one because Rob doesn't care whether they call or not. As a matter of fact, I think didn't he turn down WrestlePalooza? Didn't they want him to work Cena?
Really?
I had heard a rumor that they called him. I could be wrong about this, but he turned them down because Cena said, I'm going to work somebody who I haven't wrestled in 10 years or whatever, or over many years. If I'm off base, please disregard. But then again, Rob has always been a free spirit and not a company man. He's always done his own thing. That's why those comments were kind of most confusing out of all three. I can see Chael doing it, defending his friend and his friend's kid. Also, maybe hoping to get to WWE someday. I can see Mark Henry doing it. But the comments from Rob, if I didn't watch them myself, at least 10 minutes of it, I would not believe you. I would not believe these show notes.